Hey everybody, this is David at BarnYard Bees. This is a little follow-up video from the last one when I was talking about the propolis seal and why you shouldn't break that propolis seal after it gets so late in the fall. Had a lot of comments, a lot more questions, so kind of ignore the gunshot in the background. There's a lot of people at target practice around here and deer season's in, so you'll hear random shots going off all over the place. But anyway, a lot of follow-up questions about the propolis, and somebody commented and said, well, there's no big deal to break the propolis seal because within 20 or 30 seconds it'll be sealed back up. Well, let me explain to you why that's not true. Now, done that in July or June, July, August. It's real sticky, wet, and hot. And it would go back pretty good. It never goes back 100%. Every time you break it, they still got to work on it. But I get his point that talking about in those months when it's real hot and sticky, it'll go right back together pretty good. But when it's cold, it's more like you ever put chewing gum or wax into a freezer and pull it out compared to when it's warm. It's no longer flexible and pliable, it's now brittle. So it's the same way. So when you take that lid off and replace it, chances are you're going to bust it, crack it, pieces are going to fall off. It will not seal back like it was, will not. And depending on whether you get a few more warm days where those bees can repair that or not, or if you come up to a cold front right after that, those bees are going to be they're going to be ventilated too much. So let me show you a little example. The bees are a little testy today, and like I told you, winter bees aren't the same as summer bees. You don't even have to get into these bees for them to be mad now. They're flying, you get close to them, they're gonna tear you up. I don't care whose bees they are and whose hive they come from. Bees this time of year are moody, mad, and they don't play, and they don't want you messing around with them. So, you know, if I end up getting stung here, it's probably, looks, they was chasing away a bee from another colony. Apparently there's fighting going in. They're very, very touchy. You see a lot of activity, right? It's kind of I don't know, it's probably about 55 out, but they're moving pretty good. Those upper hives there's quite a bit of bees there moving around. But I want to show you these, and someone was asking, well, how big do you know to put the seal, or to put the ventilation? And I understand these questions because when you think about it, you're like, well, how, you know, a lot of people in their mind are thinking, well, do I drill a 1/4 inch hole, 1/2 inch hole, 3/4, 1 inch? Well, here's the thing, you don't know. You don't know how big a hole to drill, but you drill a big enough hole and let those bees, let them decide how much ventilation they need. And they will decide, and they will fill it up properly to what they need. Because, you know, just like, for example, right here where the feeder goes down on top of the box. Well, there's going to be imperfections unless you just have a perfect cut to where everything's touching exact. Even then, air can still blow underneath of it and vent out. So those bees have a sense. It's their natural instinct. They know how much ventilation they need. And what they do, this was a vent hole right here. As you can see, they got it 100% closed off. This one here, 100% closed off. They didn't need any ventilation as far as that feeder goes. They got plenty, because if you would compare this box probably to the other ones, this has probably got a little bit of warp in it or so. Probably allowing ventilation up under here somewhere. So they know. Don't ever try to scrape that off. If you see that like that, let those bees decide if they need to scrape it off, and they will. They'll remove it if they need to. look at this extra propolis here, just randomly. See, and right there's a piece right there laying out there on the feeder. Now, if this had been August and I tried this right here, my finger would have went right through it. But see how you can't even hardly chip it. And if you do, it'll just kind of be brittle like hardtack candy. Kind of about the same way if you ever made hardtack candy. What's they're coming after me? They're mad. They don't want to be messed with. But I just want to explain that. You know, for the ones that says that it doesn't matter, I'm telling you it does matter. And if you do it, you may pay the price by losing your bees because of it. And see, they're mad. I'll have to give them a second and then put their bricks on. Different kind of bees, folks. Different kind of bees this time of year. They don't play. Look on where they come out to the front just for me making that little bit of scraping noise on top. They heard that and they come to investigate and chase away whatever it was that was messing with their hive. They got a lot of protect now. Bees can recover. A bear could come through and demolish the hive in spring or summertime. And as long as he didn't take everything and left something, they could remake a queen with the resources that they have. That happens now, they're done. There's nothing they can do to rebuild, nothing. So nature makes them more aggressive this time of year for a good reason, because they're done. If something comes over and knocks that over and eats a little bit of it, they can't make a requeen. They can't requeen. I mean, they could. It's all about drones. There's no drone congregational area now. There's no. It would be. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the odds are extremely low if they could ever possibly make a queen this time of year. You know, pushing what is it? Today's November 12th, I believe. Or is it 15th? It's I even forget what day it is. I'm working that night shift, so I get confused what day it is. But anyway, I know next week is Thanksgiving week. So next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to show that and explain it. That I thought that was real important, because a lot of people was asking those questions. And just remember, if somebody tells you don't worry about breaking that seal, man, you're messing up. Don't do it. Don't do it. They might not ever repair it. Then they may have it inconsistent. And then another thing that seal does too, around the top, is it keeps water out. And I didn't even mention that in the last video. After I got done talking, I thought, how come I didn't even mention about the cold air, but I didn't say anything about the water that could run in it. I mean, the ventilation, of course, is for moisture escape, but I didn't mention about rain coming in. And that's another reason you always keep your entrance faced forward just a little bit. That way, if you get winds and rain and it blows in, well, it'll roll right back out. And if you break that seal, well, you just open up a spot for rain to drip in. And they may never repair it for the winter. You're causing a lot of trouble by doing that. So when people tell you that, don't listen. That's 100% fact, I know about that. Don't do it. But anyway, just a little tip from Barnyard Bees that's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks. I thought that's one we'll make my video about next time, is explain that ventilation and how it works and how they regulate it. Well, that's how they regulate with the propolis. There's some, you'll go and look at some, and some are completely open. Well, then they had enough ventilation, or not enough ventilation elsewhere, so they needed it there. So they know, the bees know. Let them make an adjustments, just make them big enough, and they'll decide how big of an adjustment they need. And that's about it, folks. Don't forget, BarnYardBees.com for all your beekeeping supplies. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Barnyard Bees.